Good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Live, Season 3, Episode 24. And today we will be discussing the June raid preview and weekly update. We've got quite a lot to cover. It seems like there was a hell of a lot of content dropped on us today, as well as the raid and whatnot. So bear with us as we get through it all. There is a fair amount of content, but I think we'll get through it okay, won't we?
Yep. We'll do it. Okay. Well, if you want to go ahead and pop me on present, we can go ahead and dive right in.
Sorry, my screen just froze there. Yeah. Sorry, but before I even go, welcome, Aaron, welcome, Cuddle to tonight's show. Yeah, I'll put you on share now.
Hello, everyone.
There you go, Ru. It's on you.
Okay. All right, so as said, we've got a lot to go through. First off, we've got State of the Game, the 2018 Summer Edition, and I don't know about the rest of the world, but it is definitely summer down here. We have a secure base update. We also have the June raid, which is called Reinforcements, and then we've got a couple of bug fixes and balance changes. So let's just dive right in here. I'm going to try not to read these completely, but there is a lot to get through. First off, on the State of the Game, the first section was on quality improvements. Basically, they were looking at one of the most common complaints that they have for the last year has been lag in game performance. Battle Pirates obviously is a Flash game, and Flash does not natively support using graphics processor unit to load images. So the first thing that they're going to be working on is an attempt to solve this by reducing the number of projectiles. And when they reduced the number of projectiles, everybody was kind of upset because we could see our ships dying but nothing hitting them. And so they backed that out. I believe that was a couple of months ago. And so they're looking at a new solution. The new solution includes an update to the game to split the processing power to run the game between your CPU and GPU. By reducing the demands on your CPU, many players will see an improvement in their frames per second, as well as their loading times. I don't know about other folks, but I get an awful lot of memory on mine, so I'm constantly having to refresh. So hopefully this will get rid of some of that. Another issue. Sorry?
Oh, yes, I actually run a secondary program to flush my cache every time I reload, trying to get rid of the massive amounts of cache overflow I get from this game.
Yeah, I can get up to 3 gig in a heartbeat. Another problem is the discrepancy between what the stats indicate and how items behave in the game. We understand these can be large and scary changes if you have invested in this content to control the outcome of your battles. Therefore, they're going to start correcting these discrepancies gradually as they identify them. Okay, so the most impactful issue is in PvP. The Tier 7 turret group bonus should be additive as stats indicated, but unfortunately in the game it was being calculated multiplicatively, which of course caused a lot of issues. Since the release of the new Tier 7 turrets, the PvP balance largely has swung to the defender side. Obviously everybody's aware of that. It is really hard to get into any base right now if anybody's got all the new toys. Players felt ineffective attacking bases. I'm not sure ineffective is the correct word there. Basically, there was no base hitting using any latest Conqueror hulls, and so they've stated that they're on it. The second is how countermeasures should behave. Very well-known mechanic in Battle Pirates, the countermeasures have behaved inconsistently towards missiles, mortars, and rockets. They're working on making it behave in a more uniform fashion.
You know,
Oh, there he is. Hello, George, and hello, Ren.
Hi, guys. So, I've seen a lot of people say that they're nerfing the turrets and this and that, and while you can look at it that way, yes, they are going to get nerfed. They're not going to be as effective as they are. The problem is when it first came out, it was supposed to be additive. I mean, when they first came out, I wrote an article and actually I inquired to make sure because some things weren't quite looking right, and they said, yeah, they're supposed to be additive. And then through some testing with a couple people, we found that it wasn't. And, you know, it was brought to their attention back then. I think that because it was avoided until now, it has like just snowballed into a mess. So, you know, there's a lot of upset players, and I can't blame them, and Kicks can't blame them. I mean, they shouldn't have sat on this long. Now, the other question is, though, now because we did have stuff taken out of the last bounty, I don't see those in the raid to kind of balance back up to where they're supposed to be at, you know, their intended place after they correct the turret stacking. So I have some concerns with this right now, especially like right 2 days before bounty, you know, and then the countermeasures. This really worries me.
Oh yeah,
really worries me because it still hasn't. They're still not working right. They've been acting wonky the last couple of weeks. I don't know if they're tweaking them or playing with them or what. But even in the 117, I mean, they've got to get this right because it touches so many things and so many aspects in this game.
like the raid, which we're about to have, where
Yep.
we actually need our countermeasures to be working. And because they weren't working before, all of us have all sorts of different countermeasures on our ships. Sprints, switchblades, full phalanxes. It's going to be rough. Try to figure out which ones actually work.
Yeah, and you know, if it works the way that it did last raid, I have to refit 2 of my mana coils because I have to take the phalanx off of the countermeasure ship, put sprints on that so it'll fire at the big missiles. And then the phalanxes I have to spread out on a couple other hulls. And then if they correct it, I'm refitting yet again for next raid. And this is all an issue that they created. Why am I the one being punished?
Those some good points. Ren, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
I say just
so.
Yeah, Liam, we're losing you every couple seconds.
Okay.
All right, well, let's go ahead and continue on with quality improvements then. These corrections will have various impacts to individual players because everybody uses the content differently. They're going to do their best to communicate our plan as early as possible, collect feedback, and roll. That includes really good testing before that stuff gets rolled out. They have no intention of making players take more damage than stats indicated, and they are welcoming our feedback after the fixes.
It's about damn time. Sorry.
Yep. No, that's okay. For more to come, please pay attention to weekly update notes and continue to provide your top bugs through the forum, Facebook pages, and customer service tickets.
So they welcome our feedback. The question is, are they going to listen to our feedback? Because it hasn't felt like they have been lately. Because there are things that have been brought up and just largely ignored until it's just amassed such a snowball effect, or it's become such a large problem. Then they have to react and do something, which is really not how it should go. You know, especially if they're testing this and getting feedback, then you know what? Listen to that feedback. I don't want to see, hey, we've listened to your feedback and we've taken away the dubs and put in the new subsector base core thingy. That's not listening to our feedback. That's, selectively taking a bit of a soundbite and then doing what you want and trying to justify it. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, and on the communication and the communication early, it doesn't mean 2 days before you drop it. Give us time to read what the solution is, what you're looking to do. Give us time to digest it, run the figures, run the math, pester George and Brian, get all the stuff, and give us the opportunity to at least think through it and provide that feedback back before you put it in. So, not 2 days before. So,
well, we kind of know what the fixes are going to be at this stage, right? We know how they plan on fixing the countermeasures.
Not that I'm aware of.
No, we don't know what they're going to do to the countermeasures. We know what their intent is, but the problem again is that they're not working. We're refitting, and then we're going to have to refit again. I mean, we're the ones that we're out on shipyard time because of an error that they've had known about and have not done anything to.
And we're really close to the raid where we actually need these. I know I'm punching on that hard, but this rate really worries me.
Okay. So that's quality improvements. They're looking to make changes to Flash so that hopefully we won't have so much lag. They're looking to change the tier 7 turrets from multiplicative to additive, and they're looking to make changes to the countermeasures. In addition to that, they are also going to, they spoke about the Forsaken missions, still continue to have the dual purpose in the game of getting new tech as well as a catch-up mechanic for players returning to the game. The piece that's missing here that kind of got me when I read this a little while ago was, you know, we've got new tech and catching up to the game. There's nothing in there really for new players. So I hope that is still a piece of the puzzle for brand new people that are in there, because a lot of the stuff that is available elsewhere is way out of date.
Yeah, and I think part of it, though, is that the way that they've sped up this game, that anything that they're going to have in there for players trying to come back to the game is also going to be for the players that are new to the game. And, you know, me and Ren have harped on this for I don't know how long. They've got to have stuff in the FM that addresses all aspects of the game, because now we have everything needing all the, you know, quote unquote premium resources, but you don't see anything in there. The Foundry's been largely ignored. I mean, what is a player supposed to do?
Yes, and there are hulls that they need to be able to complete map targets just to get their basic resources.
Yep.
So the goal is that when a player returns to Battle Pirates and does not have all of the most recent tech, the Forsaken missions is the place to pick up a hull and hit the ground running. So hopefully they're taking all of that into account. In May, as an example, at the end of the siege cycle, the Ironclad and the Canoe were added to the prize pool 3 for players that have not got the Buckies and the Hydras. Those hulls would help to participate in some of the TLCs and get base parts. They've also included the Apollo and the Zos Apollo to help for the folks that missed out on the Phoenix and the Skyfire. And I would assume that we'll see the same kind of pattern happen with the newer hulls, or the newer, older hulls, I should say, for the rest of the cycles. They've also added the flagships for both the Icebreaker and the Monolith to the prize pool, so that you can improve the performance of your FM fleets. You know, Monolith, I think, is a lame duck. I don't think that's really worth anything, but I know folks are doing really well with Icebreaker fleets. And they'd like to get a regular cadence to distribute catch-up hulls as well as the new components in the Forsaken missions each month, with other venues to get more recent hulls such as TLCs and offers. Keyword there, I think, is offers. I know they've sped up a lot of their releases. I would hope that they don't put a player into the position to where the only place they can get something is an offer. They should still be able to, if they wish to put the time and effort in, be able to get the fleets that they need to be able to do things in the FM.
Otherwise, it becomes pay to play, not...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, my addition to that last point is just that if they are going to have a regular cadence to distribute those catch-up hulls, which is a great thing, they should also have a regular cadence to review build times. It gets to a point where it really doesn't make any sense having a Phoenix flagship taking 25 days to build and a regular one taking 17 days, when now they are last year's hull. So they have to have a regular cadence where, hey, Apollos are 2-year-old, cut the build time. Phoenixes are 1-year-old, cut the build time. And now the Manticore runs at the top build time, so to speak.
Hell
yeah,
yes.
you know, that's a really good point. Maybe the cadence is that when they add that to the FM, that's when they knock down the build time?
I think whenever the hull in question becomes the -1, the one below the best, it's time to do a first review. And then when it gets demoted to the third in the line, like the Apollo is now for Assault, it has to be reviewed again. You know, every hull in my mind should go through 2 build time reductions. One when it becomes last year's, and another one more aggressive when it becomes the hull from 2 years ago.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really good suggestion.
Not the first time I mentioned that, and I mentioned that to Kix as well. And I mean, there were good words about it, but I don't think they've done it. But they do it like whenever they feel like there's no regular cadence. That's the key word for me, the regular cadence on reviewing build times.
Yep. Really good. Okay. Player versus player. George, you want to take that?
Oh, I get to do the state of the game, huh?
Oh, I just figured I'd share some of the loves.
But yeah, so they have a fun PvP experience that they presume is built on a balanced economy, which is true. There has to be some sort of balance and some need for strategy in order to actually overcome other players' bases. I don't know that PvP is actually quite the term anymore because we can't really do fleet versus fleet. It's PvP has become, base hitting. There are short-term problems that they need to resolve to get there. The very first one was the turret issue, but there are far more issues with PvP than just that. The short-term fixes they've said have largely been announced to us. I think the only one that's really been announced to us has been the turret change, but they really haven't gone into detail in terms of coming back to balance that. I have an issue with that. They're addressing serious bugs causing the turrets to deal radically increased damage. We've gone through this. There's an accuracy bug that we talked about, I think, last week a little bit. And it was affecting all the hulls. I don't think it was affecting turrets, so it's just the hulls that were affected, and it had a profound effect on countermeasure effectiveness, making the defenders too strong. Again, I'm not completely sold on that, given that everybody was dying to turrets, not to defenders, but, we'll see. They're improving the consistency of countermeasures. Again, we have to see how that works. And then they're releasing an explosive turret to help balance out the base defenses. Now, while I appreciate the turrets coming out, I would really like to see the turret that we missed in Bounty come out as well, because that's part of this whole balance type thing. And, if they had been planning these turrets out based on an additive stack, if they're going to correct to the additive stack, they have to catch up to where they were supposed to be. So, saying that, PvP has swung way, way too far in favor of defense, and these changes swing the pendulum in the other direction. While this is true on the top-end bases, it is not true for mid-level players in other areas, because unless you have everything, and Rue, I think you said this earlier, unless you have all the turrets, it's not, you're still gonna get walked by some of these basers. So in the long term, they're going to reveal content release plan that continues to serve the balance economy of the PvP space. I would love to see this much more than like Tuesday before, an event. And then while PvE will always remain a big part of the Battle Pirates game, PvP is also where fun could be. I don't know why they've phrased that like that. PvP is where the fun is. Period.
Could
it's the only thing. Like Ren has pointed this out like a ton of times. Bounty's much more fun because you don't know what you're going to hit. Because it's players that came up with these bases. It's not a PvE target. It's still a PvE target, but it's not like just a singular design. So over the years, PvP has become an exclusive and niche experience. I don't know about that one. And in the coming months, we're going to be working to make PvP more engaging, more rewarding, and more exciting. Eventually, it would be the experience for broader players.
For somebody that joined the game a little bit late, so I missed all of the Blackwater stuff and everything else, but I've watched the videos and I've heard the stories. But it's like, to me, it's like, wait a minute, I don't know how to put it. It's like the game was that way, and then it got turned into what it is now, and now it's all like, now it's almost like you're trying to say, hey, we're going to do this new boot thing, and it's like, back up a minute, you're going back to what it was initially.
And that's where it should have stayed. That was the whole draw. That's what drew so many players into the game, was a couple of things at the same time. One, everyone felt some sort of relevance. When you went through the gauntlet, you were going through gauntlet just like everyone else did, but it wasn't a long gauntlet. It wasn't like from level 50 to level 100. It was leveled like, what was it, 24 to 29? It was like 5 levels until you started getting up over the hump. Go ahead, Ren.
I was just going to say, taking the corporate drone speak apart of this state of the game, this is a good thing, right? I mean, this is, to me, it's just them saying, hey, you know, we realize we lost the PvP experience in the game, and now we're going to try and bring the good PvP experience back to the game to a broader audience of players. So to me, it's perhaps the game going back to when it was fun before. I hope, you know.
Yeah,
now,
I
the
hope.
thing is, I've been through 5-6 game designers since I started playing, and they all have those cool ideas and release those nice messages, and I like them. The reality is nobody trusts KixEye anymore. So it's a wait and see game. I mean, for those willing to wait, because players are dropping like every week, right? More than joining. But anyways, I really hope they deliver on that stuff. I mean, again, taking the bullshit wording apart, I mean, it's a good thing if they make PvP a good thing, a fun thing, and a thing experienced by, if not a majority, at least, you know, something like half players in the game.
I mean, I really hope so as well. The one thing that I'm a little worried about is that there's, you know, another change for the game developer. And I don't know that they've had enough lead time to get to know the community, because the last time that happened, we had GDA come in, and, you know, while personally I'm okay with him, the problem is he was a little bit arrogant towards the community in that he thought he had a better idea of how the game should work and play, and ignored, you know, what the community said and feedback. And the problem with that is we have players that have been playing close, you know, coming up to a decade close in a couple of years, right? And those players are the ones that you really ought to listen to, because they do know more about the game and the history and context and everything than you coming in for a couple of months and getting your feet wet and then going, oh, I have a great idea, let's try this in the game. No. I mean, it's, you know, it's Battle Pirates. And I think that there's a fundamental base that we expect, and every time they kind of drift away from that, it hurts the community, it hurts the game, it hurts everything. And I don't know that they quite realize that they just in the end hurt themselves. You know, I mean, there's stuff in the raid that I'm just going to point out. It's these, we've tried this before, they've been errors in the past, and they're still doing them.
Well, anybody else have anything to add on the PvP? Oh, Liam, you still with us?
I'm still here, but I'm sort of cutting out quite frequently at the moment, so I don't want to speak and just go all spacey and stuff. Does it sound smooth just now?
Yep.
I've shut YouTube down and everything else, so this is like the only thing running.
Talk. So far, it's been good.
Okay. All right. So moving out of those types of things, and a couple of other things that were brought up with the SOG. Of course, the BPHQ companion app that has been released worldwide now, so everybody has the ability to download that and use that. Limited functionality for right now, but the functionality that is in there is quite handy. You get a notification on your Yelling Bone now if your fleet has been repaired, so you can jump onto the app and start another one without having to go climb off the couch and log into the computer, do that kind of stuff. They're looking to add some new features here relatively soon, looking at world map repair, speed up ship builds and refits, opt in for notifications, some base actions, speed up repairs and upgrades, opt in for completion of build repair, yada, 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 opt in for your base being attacked, and then blitz support. For those of you that have not used this, you can actually, and I have done this in the past, maybe not so much with the fleets on the higher targets this raid, but you can actually auto your raid from the phone. I don't know, George, have you used it?
I've still been using the other program.
Oh, okay. Well, I have used it for a little bit now, and I actually did the last Buccaneer raid all on my phone on auto, so it was kind of good. So it does come in handy, especially if you like lose your internet and you want to kick off a repair or something. So if you've not taken a look at it, I did not include them on the slides, but there are download links for both the iOS version as well as the Android version. And this was the first ever app that I officially loaded on my phone that wasn't related to work. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. But give it a go and take a look at it, and see what it works for you.
I do like that idea of the opt-in notifications for completion of build repairs, upgrades, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That would make, my time more efficient, and so I don't have some downtime. I know exactly when something has to complete it, so I can start something else.
Yeah, but just the repair piece is really cool because, if you're doing whatever and you get the message up, then you can just jump on. It takes about, 10 seconds to get into it, and then you can kick off another repair without having to stop what you're doing. So I do find it handy.
Yeah, some of us remember setting alarms to, go and hit a base after a 5-hour drive, but, just saying.
I thought my husband was nuts when he did that and got up early for like the raids and stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then, of course, now he's the one that's not getting up and I am. So I was like, switching
back in the
places.
day, to get to just a couple sectors over, it was like a 5-hour drive. Drive 5 hours, go hit a base. You'd have to set the alarm because that's when you had to go and get on to hit the base, and then 5 hours back. It was that part I don't miss.
Yeah. Okay, so their conclusion, and I put this on a page by itself. Battle Pirates deeply appreciates having an enthusiastic player community. Please continue to provide feedback and we will devote our efforts to put the player first. I like this, but the proof is in the pudding. We have shared so many things. There has been so many feedbacks from a lot of very knowledgeable people. Doesn't do any good if we're sharing it and it's not getting anywhere or things aren't changing. So I would hope that this statement includes, a change or at least the ability to have some back and forth between Kix and the players and the ability for folks to get the message across and changes because of it. I don't know if anybody
Great sentiment. Great sentiment. I would love what I'd really like to see, especially if they're really truly behind this, like if they're sincere. We know the last, year or two has been kind of iffy in the forums because of a certain mod that shall not be named that's no longer there. I would love to see, a general amnesty and then see how players react in the forums and see if they can't get the forums to actually do what they were supposed to do in the first place and give feedback to Kixeye from the players live. I mean, it'll be right there. I think that would help an immense amount if they could actually get some decent feedback, because all they have to do, we've done it on our page. There are ways to manage the forums without, banning everybody permanently. And I think that was relegated mainly to just one mod. And I think now, because the last few months have been rather nice in the forums, there's not a lot of bans. People are not completely flipping out. They get the warnings, they actually get it instead of being upset that they got a warning, because now the warnings are actually legit. So, they have resources. They have resources everywhere to actually really do this. I just wish they would use them.
Yep, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'd like to see it go back to where it was when Chris first came on, where it was, they did the sweep and it wasn't toxic, and I'd really like to see it get back to that level of what it was.
Yeah, and he had, he started off really, really well, and I think, part of it was that he was undermined by that player. So, it kind of made his job a bajillion times worse. And now I don't know how you can actually go back and correct it without, going and doing it each individually. They got mods there, just unban everybody, and first couple of weeks they're gonna be a little bit busy. That's all.
Yeah, that's a good point, to maybe bring some of the ones back. And if your infraction was 5 years ago, does that really mean that it counts now? But okay, so that should be the end of.
Just one suggestion for players. Like, we have about 120 people watching now live. I want to ask a favor for everyone. In the next 2 weeks, like in between end of raid and the update after raid, when they're going to change countermeasures, change accuracy, change turret stacking bonus and whatnot, write down your damage time after you do targets. Take an average, like, if you're hitting 117s in FM, write down the damage you're taking after you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just get the average. Do the same for if you're used to autoing a target, like you get your Buccaneers and you auto base part targets, or you get your Skyfires and you auto 85s and 83s. Write down the average time. whichever way you do it, if you drive, if you don't drive, get the average. And when those changes all come live, and accuracy changes and countermeasure changes, and it's not easy to do in PvP, but in PvE we can actually get good numbers. And then let's share that on the page and establish a big, broad community baseline. So when the changes all take effect, we'll know for real. Because I know people will be yelling. Some people are always yelling no matter what. But we'll have some good data to say, is it worse? Is it better? Is it about the same? Is it worse for 10 players but better for 50, or the other way around?
Yeah, I actually last week I actually asked people to start recording stuff between now and when they change it. So we also have something to compare it to, because if we can't sit and record every single thing every single day, but if we have a collective use of recording it, we can actually see what's going on as well and what the change was. So that way, if there is an issue, because Kickside is gonna be like, well, we need a video, or we need this to see, and well, we're gonna have the stuff. And I used the 57 uranium target way back in the day when they had changed it, and they were like, no, nothing changed. And I had a video from before and after, and you could play them. I played them right next to each other, and you could see the changes. And having that resource will help us immensely if something comes out broken.
Yeah, and whoever can record should record. But what I'm asking is the broad community, those who don't record videos, get a pencil, get a piece of paper, write it down. So we may have 5, 10, 12 players recording, maybe more, but we'll have a few hundred players writing times down. And you're right, because many times things go wrong, and it's not like, oh, Kickside is out to screw us. It's like, oh, they didn't see that happening in their small test bed with 5 testers, 10 testers, however many testers. We are thousands. We'll find it, right?
Yeah. And one thing that I would say, that's all right, in doing that testing and video recording and stuff like that, because this really does make a difference, is track whether you have your alliance points or not. Because every Monday morning those reset, and so if you do your recording with alliance points and then afterwards and the alliance points are not met, that will make a change in it. So just in paper pencil recording or whatever, just track whether you had alliance points or not.
Yep. And I've actually read a couple people in chat were like, oh, why are we doing that testing? It's not, listen, I've seen a couple of tickets come back now, and this is coming from like Kickside experts too, not even just CS, where they reference the TOS section where they say, oh, well, targets can be changed, da-da-da-da-da. I don't know that, one, I'm not even going to touch about the level of or lack of professionalism in that response, but the fact that that's some of the answers that we're getting back isn't really indicative of whether or not that change was intended. So if we have a baseline to use and then something to compare it to afterwards, it's going to help any arguments or any discussions that we have with Kickside going forward, especially if things aren't working right.
And I'm going by intention. They are clearly stating that their intention is not to make the targets harder, is to kind of keep a similar player experience, but just make things real, right? Make whatever you read be what's happening in the game, which is something we've been complaining, rightfully so, for a long time. They're trying to fix crap that was left behind over the past 12 months or more.
I mean, I'd like to see the
and they're saying they don't want to make it worse. So if it becomes worse, we need data.
Yep. I mean, one of the things I'd love to see changed is the actual damage numbers in the game, like to reflect what they really are, because at this point it's gotten so complex that you really kind of need to get that changed.
Yep. Okay, so that was it for State of the Game. They did a separate notification for this, and all I can guess my ultimate with this is yes, finally. Day that many people have been waiting upon is upon us. Secure Pace has been released. This has currently prevented players from a variety of illegal activities, aka shenanigans, they were using to make their bases more powerful. This included bypassing timers, equipping multiple copies of the same special, as well as equipping components that they did not actually own. So this is, they've announced it, this is hacking. So this is supposed to prevent some of the hacks that were out there that people were able to use. In 8.25, which is the next release, which is set for the week of June 18th, that's the week after the raid, they're going to be correcting all bases that are in an illegal state. So for those of you that are using it, there is your warning. Each structure that is an invalid state, including but not limited to being overpowered, equipping of duplicates, equipping items you do not own, is going to have all components in that structure removed. So that kind of tells me that if you've got one thing wrong, you're going to lose all of those components. They're reviewing players who are found to have illegal bases and are banning players based on a strict set of guidelines. Now, of course, they haven't indicated what those guidelines are. But I'm really happy to see this is happening. This is something that we've wanted for a long time. They did go to server side, which of course stopped a lot of things. But then obviously there were other things that were found. So I don't know about you guys, but I am real happy to see this happen. One thing that I would say though, that this obviously is going to be a large update. So after the raid, but before the next update, so after the raid, but before next Tuesday, if that's when this goes live, I would highly recommend videotaping and screenshotting your turrets and your bases and stuff, because we don't know what this is going to do.
Yeah, the only thing, like, I love this, I really do. The only thing is, I wish they hadn't announced it. I wish they had just implemented it and banned cheating little bastards.
Yes.
I'm going to have a lot of fun with people showing up, posting stuff like, oh, my turret disappeared. I don't know what happened. Oh, yep. Damn, kick side, they took my turret away. I'm not cheating.
Well, maybe this is them giving people the opportunity and saying, because they did do it with the repair thing. They drew the line in the sand and announced it and then said it's going to be stopped. So maybe they're following the same thing. What I would like to see, and they're saying that they're banning players based on a strict set of criteria. Well, if you ban somebody and you remove their goodies and then you unban them 3 days later, that is not a deterrent to stop people from doing it again. We all know no matter what kind of checks and balances are put in place, everything is has an opportunity to be broken or backed into. So I would hope that this will curb a lot of it, but I'm sure there's still opportunities. But if you're going to catch somebody that's doing that, the punishment has to fit the crime, whether it's a reset, complete ban, never coming back, but just banning them and telling them to remove it and then they're back 3 days later is just not a deterrent for folks. Okay, so that was secure base. So make sure you do a recording afterwards. And then after that update goes through, 8.25, which is the 18th, in 8.26, and for those that don't know, there was a couple of questions on this today. The release numbers are based on year and week. So 8 references 2018 and 26 references the 26th week. So somebody was asking about that earlier today. So for 8.26, we'll release Bounty Season 11. And thanks to secure bases, all bases, both player and the replica bases, will be secure and fair for all players. So if there is a shenanigan base that was in there before and you ran into that base on the map, you lost your fleet. So that's not going to happen anymore. Battle Pirates team is dedicated to maintaining a fair game where everyone is able to compete on an even footing. This ensures that bounty events are fair for everyone to compete in. So again, looking forward to this.
Yep. If they're not going to ban people, at least do something like, take all the goodies and then put the base pots like -25 million or something.
I like that. Make them have to do it the hard way and not the quick and easy way.
Yep.
Okay. So moving on now, we've got holy cow. We've got about 20 minutes left, so we've got a bunch of slides on the raid. I'm going to kind of go through quickly the regular stuff, but June raid starts it's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Sorry, I lost what day it was.
And I think the name of that badge is wrong.
Well, it's the Hand of Makara earned the Centurion, the Proto-Centurion.
Was it the hand or the head?
Or is it the head?
Well, the Hand of Makara was the name of last month's badge, wasn't it?
I just copied it from in there.
No, I'm not saying it's your mistake. I think it's their mistake in the release notes or whatever. Because the image is new, but the name of the badge is repeated, I think.
Yeah, and Andrew brought it up. That was the first thing that I looked at too. I was like, it's Monty Python. Okay, so the raid name is Reinforcements. Usual stuff as per normal. Starts on the 14th at 9 a.m., ends on Monday the 18th at 9 a.m.
all the same.
Yep.
Just because we're running out of time.
Yep.
Sorry.
You will not be able to get your resources after the sector threat stops unless you're using other things. So if you need things like uranium, titanium, base parts, and that kind of stuff, make sure that you get those before the raid. Goals, Reinforcements is the second event in the Drac Conquest event cycle. Defeat the Draconian mega convoys to earn points, which allow you to redeem awesome prizes. I did not see any changes in the way any of these targets worked. It looked like it was the exact same write-up from last time. Of course, got the prototype Kodiaks, the prototype Interceptors. We've got the ammo carrier, and then we've got the Draconian turret carrier, aka the Fatty. Prototype weapons cannot be countered, but the other ones can. Okay, targets are not cooperative. New things for this raid. We have 2 elite targets now. Each one pays out 2.5 million each. And then if you are able to complete both of them, there is a 5 million completion bonus. The difference with these targets is in addition to giving out points, they will drop 1 shard for a particular prize that we'll go through here in just a minute. So the 100 pays a single shard for the chromium armor, and then the 102 pays a single shard for the reactive armor. Recommended are legendary Manticore fleets for tier 8, and restrictions, which is kind of against the recommended, is that it's Manticores only. Tier 7, you'll note that last time we only had 2 targets. This time we are back to 3 targets. Completion bonus as well for this. Recommended Manticore fleet, at least rank 12. Must be any tier assault. I'm assuming must be any tier 7 assault or generalist tier 7. And the KDs is still permitted. So for those of you that do have your KDs, you'll be happy that you can still use those.
That's a bit of a surprise.
I don't think they're going to change it for the whole thing because
I don't think
if you look at the points that that are required, and then you look at the 10 million on tier 8, yeah, if you got the KDs and you want to grind through tier 7s to get a bajillion million points because all the stupid ass limited stuff again, yeah.
Tier 6, 60s targets, still 3 targets with the bonus, looking for Skyfires or legendary ranked Phoenix fleets. There were some videos, and I will try and snag those and put those up on the page, where people were using combinations where they were using like a Gutspill Skyfire and like 2 Manticores. So we'll see if we can dig those back up. Tier 5, of course, is the 40s, and that's for the legendary ranked Apollo fleets. Hit down multipliers are still applied for this raid, so I was hoping that would be dropped, but no. And then we've got the Blitz targets, of course, level 89 and the level 69. Those prices haven't changed, and neither has the gold amount. As per normal, we've got the modal. Defeating the target will mark the completion model. Once you set is complete, you'll get the bonus. Hitting targets that are below your level will result in the fewer points. And then obviously using the locator to find targets for all sets or specific sets. So we're looking at map targets again. Okay, prizes. First prize, of course, is the Proto Centurion. Escalation on the original Centurion, because that one works so well. Features significant offense and defense improvements. In addition, Forsaken Engineers included a stacking aura effect, which further increases the potency of any Buccaneer, Hydra, or Proto Centurion within range. So keyword there that this guy will buff Buckies and Hydras. George, you want to take a look at this?
You know what? Yeah, it's a cool ship. It's strong. I think I kind of don't want to go over all the stuff, because the thing is that, while this is great and I love the hull, it's what, a month or 2 months after we just finished the raid set for Siege. Why is this even coming out? Why are we having targets that I have to have this for? And then the biggest question is this going to throw off the balance for the next Siege raid? Because, in TLCs and map targets, I mean, look, it's great. It has a good range. It has some really odd effects on the dupe aura cap for the field effect. It has the building defense and for ballistic and radioactive, -5%, which is interesting, especially since it's supposed to buff with the resistances in the earlier special abilities. I don't know. That's a little bit odd. I'd love to know how that stacks. It has a high structure deflection. The evade's very interesting. The tack field resistance, that and the slow resistance are both items that should be noted. It has a lot of structure DPS as well. You see that 25,000 there, along with 85% ballistic damage, a base native 100% projectile speed. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do with this thing that I'm sure is going to romp the dubs or the new dubs, just like the Proto Tide does. I mean, that thing, I've seen people going with that and another, co-op with a hunter fleet, and they're doing it for under 10 minutes of damage. So yeah, awesome, great. I don't have room in my shipyard, in my dock, to actually have 2 more fleets, let alone 1 more fleet. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, the thing that worries me about this, and I can't remember if it was last week's or the weeks before, Rampage mentioned with this fleet that this fleet would be needed for siege TLCs.
Oh, see, just shit.
Did he actually say needed, or he said it will be helpful? Because I thought it was a lighter wording, like, oh, it's going to help you do better, but not needed. I don't think TLCs would be tuned only for players who have a full fleet of those.
Yeah, but you know that they're going to tune for the existence of this. And, our siege hulls were supposed to be good for a year. And we already have another siege hull coming out. I mean, I have a fundamental issue with this.
Yeah, I mean, I said something similar to this last week on the show with Mark. They switched us back to 3 raid cycles a year, which you would think would alleviate, would eliminate the need to be building so many ships a year. But then they released dubs that requires 4 different types of proto ships for each different section. So essentially, we're actually building more fleets than we actually needed to build when we had 4 raid cycles a year.
With less tokens.
With less tokens, and it is a slap in the face.
Stock space.
It's a slap in the face to Buckies and Hydras because, as you say, George, the cycle ended 2 months ago. We've not really had any TLCs that require using them. They're now releasing a new siege hull. I mean, what was the point? What was the point of even building them?
Yeah, if they're just for dubs, I really don't care because you don't need to hit dubs. Nobody needs to hit a dub. But if they're going to tune TLCs for these proto hulls, then I agree wholeheartedly we have a big issue because whatever TLCs they release between now and next siege raid, I want to be able to do with my Buckies and my Hydras, one or the other, not necessarily both.
Yep. And I can't remember which TLC it was, but I got burned and burned hard. Oh, it was the original tech up there, the second run of the tech up, because I hadn't built the Skyfire, and so I couldn't complete it. So I definitely don't want to be in a position to where if you haven't built this fleet that you can't complete something.
Well, don't worry about Manticores because in 2 months' time the Proto Skyfire will be out. So you can just replace it.
No, you've got it wrong. It's the Proto Apollo.
Proto Apollo's coming soon, guys.
Whatever the hell it is.
That was the announced name for the assault one.
With Switchblade 2.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to mention about that. Can you go back one slide really quickly?
Yep, sorry.
This Proto Centurion has a naked build time at R&D 30 with an officer of just about 10 hours. So even if you aren't sure about whether or not you actually want to fully complete one of these, cranking out 4 of these will take you 40 hours, which can be easily done by VXP, and you can begin to rank them and decide later on.
Run! It's a trap!
And also, let's not forget maybe players that didn't participate fully in the Bucky and Hydra raid that now are capable of doing this raid. I mean, it maybe don't have those fleets built either. I guess it is a good opportunity for them to catch up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kato, I was just joking. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No worries. Just saying it's a very low build time, so you can just get the hulls out and throw them into VXP and decide later on whether or not to build them.
Yeah, but I'd have to decide what I want Yeah, I got to decide what I want to scrap though. So
No, but that is a really good point. I had not had a chance to look at the build time, so thanks for that.
But I say it's a trap because, yeah, true, the hull takes 10 hours to build, but then each cannon takes 14 hours.
Yeah.
Each cannon.
But I guess if you were going to waste some time, I'd rather waste it on the hulls and then decide not to build them and then refit. But okay. Cannon System 4. Proven on cannon technology allowed Forsaken engineers to increase the ballistic damage and splash range bonuses provided. This one's got a nice hefty 50% ballistic damage, plus the standard 50% range, and then plus 45 splash.
Oh yeah, so you want to refit your Buccaneers too, on top of building new crap too. Yeah, I'm just this. The more I see, the more upset I'm getting.
And it's very heavy at 35% weight.
Yeah, chubby is the word we use at TFC. We've got the Pack 2. I actually kind of like the artwork on this one. Does anybody have any thoughts on this one? Didn't see huge increases on all damage.
It's also very chubby.
Yeah, isn't the peak accelerator, isn't that like 210 in damage?
What happened to no escalation weapons and shit? I mean,
Big,
I mean, we're gonna keep on getting into even worse things. I mean, let's keep going. Escalation this, escalation that, limited this, limited that. I mean,
okay,
frickin' hell. Here it is.
Cheetah scattergun, and I kind of indicated these to make it very clear to people because it wasn't clear in the blueprints. The tops were chopped off. Cheetah scattergun.
Perfect name. Perfect.
Yeah, is limited. It is a really cool looking scattergun though. But thoughts on this one? I didn't really see. I mean, it gives you the extra combat speed, which I guess would help match if you're running it with a missile version.
If you put 2 of those per scattergun ship and don't change CICs or anything, it would match the missile one when the bonus is on, which I think it's on all the time. But anyways, I think I'm going to be a minority here when I say it doesn't bother me because this is not really an escalation weapon. The damage, the reload, the multi-shot, everything is exactly the same as the Panthera scattergun. The only change is the bonus, right? The original Panthera gives you 4% corrosive resistance, and it's a regular blueprint. This one is limited, and it doesn't give you the corrosive resistance. It gives you combat speed instead. So it's absolutely not a must-have because you're going to be trading off one for the other if you want.
But in that sentence, Ren, it shouldn't be limited.
It shouldn't be limited. I agree. I don't like, in principle, limited blueprints, period, full stop. The only place in-game, I think, where a limited blueprint makes sense is for flagships and for the super hulls like the Cadiz. Nothing else in this game should be limited. Turrets should not be limited.
That's the whole
Conqueror
problem.
shouldn't be limited. Nowadays in this game, everything in PvP is limited, and now they're making more and more stuff in PvE limited as well. I don't like that. I'm just going to say, again, this is not an escalation weapon. It's a side move weapon.
Yeah. And I could understand, like, if it was really powerful and would, like, significantly improve your combat ability, you know, I can see why they may have wanted to make something like that limited. Not that I would agree with them doing so, but the fact that it's really just a very small trade-off, whether you want speed or resistance, what's the point of even making it limited in the first place?
But that's the whole point that I have a problem with this in general. We've done the limited thing in the past. No one likes it. I mean, we went through how long with the charged armors and people freaking out about it. And what is this, like 5 million points a pop?
Oh, we'll go back to the Cobra scattergun originally.
You know?
Because that's where it started.
And and how many people were like just pissy about that because they couldn't even fit a single hull at a time. I mean, I have issues with this. Just period. Like it should not. The limited thing is just no. It was a bad concept. It was implemented poorly, and it's still apparently being implemented poorly.
And if their goal with this is to say like, well, we're trying to give you more tools to use, we're trying to give you more items to play with and more options. Well, if you're trying to give us more options, then why make it limited? You're not giving us anything.
I mean, when I go to buy a socket set, it's not. I don't buy a single freaking socket each time I need one. I buy the damn set. I don't need one freaking weapon at a time. It's that this should not be limited. The damn armor special shouldn't be limited. All this crap, all this limited crap, is a freaking joke.
Yeah,
But I think what you were saying, Ren, though, is for people not to think that they have to go and redeem.
Yes,
20 of these. You only need maybe one or two per hull. If
you need none. You need zero. That's what I'm trying to say. Is for players who struggle to get points. I mean, I think everyone here in this panel gets as many points as they want in raid. Okay, so then it's just like, oh, I don't like that. It's limited, or I don't like that. Okay, I'm speaking now to the players who don't get a ton of points, who don't get 200 million points. Players who are struggling to get points. You do not need this weapon. You don't need the new missile that's limited, the new scattergun that's limited. Stick to the Panthera, that's not limited, it's regular. Stick to the Stinger missile, it's regular. Stick to the normal specials that are regular. The regular armor, forget about all of that. It's not an escalation. It's not going to make your ships do more damage. It's just a tiny, tiny trade-off on the side.
One thing I'm certain of is I won't be collecting a single one, because I feel if I do so, I'm telling them that I like it. So I'm not going to collect any.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too, is I don't know that you can just say that it's a tiny upgrade, because if you compare, say, a fleet with none of them and then a fleet that's fully decked out with them, I'm going to bet you're going to see a significant difference. And I mean in saved damage as well, because some of the stuff, especially if you auto and you're using the scattergun version to auto stuff, especially when it goes to the map target, half the damage that you take is chasing down those fleets. You will significantly cut your damage down if you're going fast enough to catch them.
Yep.
What's the multiplicative value of, like, say 8 at 5%? What's the combat speed increase?
No, I'm not trying to do math on live.
You're going to gain up to 40% speed if you put them on all of your ships.
Math-free show. There you go.
Right? I mean, it's 5%. You put 6 of those per ship, you're going to be gaining 30% combat speed. It's significant. What I'm saying is you're also going to give up about 15% or 12% corrosive resistance to get that. So there is a trade-off.
And there are crews you can use. What is it? Remote raiders that gives you a 20%? 30%. So yeah.
But it's
okay.
rare.
Well, in addition to the Cheetah missile, the Cheetah scattergun, we've now got the Predator missile. This is another alternative weapon to the Stinger missile. The Predator provides bonus combat speed in lieu of corrosive defense, while still providing the same level of power. So this obviously mirrors what we've just said on the Cheetah scattergun, but it's the missile version for the missile hull. Darkwing CIC. Darkwing CIC synchronizes the combat speed of manticores in the fleet, extends the duration of the Scorpion CIC aura, that's the red one or red-orangey one that you see that turns on and off, and enhances offensive and defensive capabilities. Anybody got anything to say on this one?
They're damn lucky they didn't make it a damn limited.
No, I was just about to say, is this limited? Is it limited?
You know, it has a duplicate aura cap of 3, which makes it really interesting. But the real thing here is that berserk duration. I have several ideas for using this thing, and it matches everything together. Like now, you can actually use a combo fleet and have it stack. So yeah, yep. I have a whole slew of ideas, and the use of this actually does. I mean, and this is why I'm upset the other ones are limited. I would need the other ones to tweak what I'm thinking of doing for a fleet.
It lists it as slows to match combat fleet though as well. Right. So like you couldn't,
and that's why those other ones give you a 5% bonus in speed.
So it wouldn't speed it up to match combat. Like if you were to like run one ship with like really heavy and like no engine, it wouldn't speed up to bring it in line.
No.
Yeah, no. Trying to make it real for people who maybe have, like, I know some people had partial scattergun fleet and they stopped and they started doing a missile fleet, and maybe they got caught halfway where now they have maybe 3 missile manticores and still 1 or 2 scattergun manticores, you could quickly, it has to be mid-raid, but you'd be able to get this guy and put it on your ships. Either way, the missile or the scatterguns, and they would all of a sudden match speed. Because if you put that on where the Scorpion is, it's going to slow down to match up the scattergun version, the Savage, and vice versa, right? It's going to speed up if the other guys have Scorpion, so it kind of solves the problem of being unable to stack them.
This is a good one. People should grab this.
I guess as well, like if you're gonna collect some of those limited weapons that boost combat speed, you could potentially like then run this to bring it in line with the ones that aren't running that limited weapon for the time being.
Yeah, and I'm one of those players that's got half and half. So this will help me because running half and half doesn't work real well.
Nope. If you can get enough to get this guy and unlock the locked store and get some Manticore tokens there, you could get it done for free. I mean, free if you can get enough points to get there. What I was going to say is if this is Kicksai's idea of giving us more options, because I remember us complaining sometimes that they were pretty much getting down to the point where there's only one way you can build it right? And okay, so what's the point of even having a CIC if there's only one way you can build it? Yep. I don't know if they kind of first created the problem, so we get bothered by the problem, and now here's the solution. But what I see throughout this whole raid is a whole bunch of optional things that give players who like tweaking their builds, people like George, give them a lot of options to tweak their builds and test and try things. And whoever wants to build the vanilla option, the vanilla option is whatever was there last month, just the whole Savage kit or the whole Scorpion kit. You can stick to that. You don't need to refit to this one. You can stick to that if you want to just have the vanilla option and get through the raid.
I just wish
in recap, if you're high maintenance like George, then yes, you can go get a bunch of toys.
Eke every little bit out. But I wish this was out at the beginning of the raid. I think Ren, you're right. They created the problem and then created a solution for a problem that they created.
Yeah, but at least now we can't say there's only one right way of building it. With all these releases this month, there are probably now 10 combinations you could get in terms of mixing up CICs and mixing up scatterguns for speed and resistance and mixing up in the same fleet now missiles and scatterguns. It opens up like a whole Pandora's box of how to build the optimal Manticore fleet.
Yep. Okay.
And some people see that as good, some people see that as bad. Just saying.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the Darkwing. And just because limited blueprints weren't enough, now we've got limited blueprints that you have to earn shards by killing targets so that you can own said limited blueprint. This is the reinforced chromium armor. Again, this is tied. This is tied to the level 100 tier 8 raid target. You have to get a single shard for completing each one of those targets, and then you need 5 of said shards to be able to get this limited blueprint.
One blueprint.
Yes, one.
So if you want to equip a fleet of 5, you need 25 shards, so you gotta hit 25 elite targets to get that. Just saying.
No, It's worse than that, Ren. You need to hit 25 100 elite targets, not just 25 elite targets because we have 2.
You're right. 25 level 100 targets. Yes.
Yep.
Sounds like easy stuff.
This one, it's got the 100 ship deflection and structure deflection, but it does have the corrosive defense of 66%. I didn't see anything on here, and these were just the screenshots that were in the thing. It doesn't look like this is actually limited to any particular hull class.
No, it's not.
Yep.
What I want to know is, does it stack with other armor specials? Because the next one makes no sense to me at all.
Yep, George hit it on the head. I had to say, only does this stack with RA3, for instance?
I guess you could check it in game.
Right? I don't know. I haven't had a chance to check.
Yeah. Okay, well, here is the sister version. This is the reinforced reactive armor. Another ship special, again limited. In order to get this one, you have to go out and kill 102 targets for tier 8. These are again single shards. 5 shards gets you a single blueprint.
Do we have any clarification on if these armors, if these specials are going to fall into the R&D, sorry, the retrofits and BR15 when we get them, or are they going to release?
It doesn't have a line saying, you know, a retro level on it. And Davis said that it doesn't stack. So, you know, this one's the exact same as RA3, and RA3 is R15 is what, like 80-something% now?
Yeah. RA3 and R15 beats the crap out of this one.
That's what I'm saying. Like we already have specials better than this at R15. So what's the need of it?
Yeah, the first one with 66% corrosive, I can see a use for that, especially if you take down the weapons that give the 4% corrosive resistance. Then you can put this guy in, and you gain the speed, and you get back the corrosive as long as it stacks with RA3, the previous one. So I kind of can see a scenario for that, but this one. RA3 beats the crap out of it.
Yeah. I mean, they seem quite fond at the moment of releasing stuff inferior to stuff we already have.
This is just fluff.
I mean, the armor weight. The only thing I see difference is like the armor weight and the ship deflection. That's it.
Yeah. The cool thing, the only place maybe this guy would make sense for me, and I'm gonna go back to my Gutspiel Skyfire carrier, where I cannot fit RA3 because it's too heavy. This guy beats RA2, so I may go and look at my Skyfire and just put one in there.
Even if it's retroed?
I think it beats retroed RA2, I think. But it doesn't beat, of course, RA3, but I can't fit RA3 in there.
Yep. Okay. Next one that we've got is Xinthium Shells 2. This is greater bonuses to splash, explosive damage, and projectile speed than the original.
Make it clear to everyone listening, this is a base special. This is a turret special, not a ship special.
So OP special.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting. I like it.
Yes.
I like it. I have build times for some of these too. Laredo gave them to me. Like Xinthium Shells, it's a 4-day, 1 hour, 13-minute build.
Oh, okay. So within the base parts realm.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Zinth reinforcements D5C. Reinforced armor increases a building survivability from ballistic attacks without affecting total base health or repair times.
Yeah. It's a bit of a counter to the impact cruiser.
Yep. And it's that one has a 5-day, 6 hour, and 43-minute build.
Okay. So again, still within the base parts. And then we've got the Catastrophic Mortar. Reimagined Cataclysm turrets, and this is going to really cause problems when people say cat this, cat that, because we've got Epic Cats, Cataclysms, and now Catastrophics. Too many cats. Significantly higher damage than previous mortars, though, does lose a small amount of range in exchange. So
this is interesting because... Go ahead.
I was just saying the build time on this is 9 days. 23 hours, 13 minutes. Thank you, Laredo, for that.
Much better than the Epic Cat that takes like 28 days.
Heck yes.
Oh, yeah, are they gonna actually go back and sort that out for players that you know?
Who knows? I do like the range on this though. We've got anti-mortar evasion as well. 287 range. It also has explosive defense bypass of 100%, radioactive defense bypass of 100%.
Yeah, here's what I'm going to say. It doesn't matter, all these numbers, just get it. Because this is the first of the tier 7 explosive turrets. What's going to happen is we were all in need of a third turret type for the bases, because right now with MC1 and MC2, if after they fix the turrets, if all you have it's ballistic and penetrative turrets, eventually attackers can get in your base just loading their ships with MC1s and MC2s. So if you don't have a third or a fourth damage type in your bases, like corrosive or radioactive or whatever, depending on the situation, you're going to be vulnerable. So, and we know how this bonus groups, the bonus group works. You need to have all the turrets to max them up. So get the turrets. Even if you put them as bubble pad for now, because they won't do much, get the turrets.
I'm calling Frostbite 2 for bounty. Next bounty. I'm calling it.
Ooh, interesting.
Yep. Could be.
Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the prizes. Not going to go through these into huge detail. A lot of repeats. Left side, we've got Cannon System 4, Particle Accelerator 2, the Proto Centurion for 20 mil, so it's 20, 30, so 40 mil for the ship and its toys. Also got the Phoenix and its toys. On the right side is the scatter version, the Manticore plus the scatter gun and the Roaring Barrel system. Again, it's still 40 million for that as well.
Why the heck do they keep offering the Hornet UAV and not the banded Hornet UAV that came with the Skyfire? I still think that's a mistake, and none of them realize that.
It was brought up last raid. It was posted on the forum a couple of times, actually, and maybe Laredo, if you're still in chat, you could pass that up.
It really makes no sense to have the old Hornet in there.
Yep. Okay, locked store. This is where we've got the new limited Cheetah Scattergun and Predator missile. Those are limited to 30 redeems. They're at 5 million a pop. Again, we've also got the Scorpion equipment. We've got the Scorpion CIC, the Stinger missile, and the Strike missile, as well as the flag for the Makara's Manticore. The Warden is in there. Is anything else in there jumping out at anybody? Oh, heavy ballistic shells.
The Howitzer Cannon 6. I mean, anyone who doesn't have all the Howitzer Cannon 6, and Boba Fett, I'm talking to you, get the one you're missing so you can get all 4 and max up your ballistic tier 7 bonus.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify that 4 total because I was rushed trying to get the slides out in time. Your limit is still 4. That does not mean you can get 4 this raid. It's 4 total, no increase on the amount.
If you have 0 Howie 6s, you can get 4.
Yes.
If you already have 3, you can only get 1.
Yeah, I just realized the way that I wrote that could be taken 2 ways. So I don't want anybody planning and thinking they're able to add extras. So the caps haven't changed. It's still, you're only allowed to have 4 total.
There's a nice selection of PvP stuff in there.
Yes.
Yep.
Just bear in mind that when you collect that PvP stuff, you can't use it because PvP's dead. But hopefully that will be changing soon.
Okay, we've also got the obligatory shards that we have, KD shards, which are still 4. The rest are 2 million each. Tokens. We've got 7 days worth of sloth build tokens. We've got 8 days worth of Brennus Unstoppable sloth build tokens. So I really like that. Missile Storm Cruiser. We've got Onslaughts, Warden, Inferno Dragon. There are 7 at 4 million. Manticore build tokens, we've got 10 at 4 million. Also Proto Tide Seekers, another 10 of those at 4 million because, getting 40 million points is real quick. Not. Proto Centurion build token, 3 days. So you've got 12 days worth of Proto Centurion tokens there, 10 million points. And then, of course, they've got the higher level base parts, titanium and uranium. And then in the unlocked store, I do like that the Darkwing is in the unlocked store. 10 million for that. Manticore build tokens are over here as well, but I only see 1.
Yes, it's only 1.
Okay. Savage CIC, the Chameleon Prime, Chameleon Edge Missile, a lot of other stuff. Catastrophic Mortis.
Ignore the Chameleon, ignore the Edge, ignore the pneumatic launch actuator. Don't get any of that generalist crap.
No. Advanced optical tracking at 750 is still a very viable special, though, if you can get that and you need it. Catastrophic Mortar, 2 redeems, and they're 15 million each. Then we've got the Zinth reinforcements, Xinthium shells, that's 10 million. The Inferno Dragon is back in there, still at 15 million. Twinfire Rocket still at 9. That should all be reduced.
What the hell?
Just here, just to summarize for players who have everything that's being re-released and just need the new stuff. Just the new stuff here, it's going to be 10 million for the CIC, 2 million for the 1 day Manticore token, so that's 12. Then you get 30 for the 2 turrets, so that's 42. 10 million for the D5C and 10 million for the Xinthium shell. So just here, it's 62 million points needed, just on this page.
Yep.
If you're a player who has everything that's old.
That doesn't
Gonna stink.
The turrets
count all on the other stuff.
Yeah, the turrets are 15, not 10, I think. I think you added them as 10.
No, it's 15 here, right?
Yeah.
Yep. 2 at 15, so 30 mil just for those.
Yeah. So 30, 40, 50, with 12, 62.
72.
How are you getting to 72?
The Darkwind. Oh, I'm adding the Savage CST. I'm sorry. I added one extra one. Never mind. My bad.
Hey, didn't I say we were having a math-free show?
I know it. And I was trying to stick to not having math because I'm looking at the turret. I'm looking at the turret damage right now, and I'm like, this thing's not going to do crap.
I'm just trying to tell players, right? I mean, this raid, to get everything that's new, it's like the 200 million point raid, easy.
Yeah, and that doesn't count. You're right, and that doesn't count the stuff.
And we
way
still
up
don't
on the
have
tree.
regular damn tokens in this raid. What the
Yep.
effing hell happened to this crap? Like,
I'm sure there's
Okay.
your base part.
Moving on to the rest of the unlocked store stuff. We've got the lower stuff, the gut spells. We've got Phoenix, Skyfire. There are a lot of really good tokens down here at the lower level. So if you are building your Skyfire, still building your Skyfires, your regular ones, there are multiple tokens here for 900,000. The same thing for the Phoenix. There's also VXP if you wish those. And then we've got the lower level base parts for titanium and uranium.
You see, I like that because the players should need to catch up, have all the tokens they need in the unlocked store. They're cheap and there's plenty of them, right? So that's at least is pretty good.
yeah, but if they're looking for this stuff, it's not really that cheap to them. I mean, cheap is a relative term. For us, it's cheap. I mean, yeah, that's all cheap because it's, we get 5 million, 10 million points for doing an S set. It's not going to be cheap for them unless they have someone that can prep a whole bunch of stuff for them.
Yeah, well, that's still an option.
I remember a set of 60s last raid was like about 1 million points. I think, I don't know this time, I don't remember. But it's a token. Every set of 60s you can complete.
Yep. Okay, so that's a quick. We've only got a couple more slides to go. Thanks for those of you that have stuck with us in chat. Doing something new this time around. The leaderboard event, reinforcements leaderboard event. Top prize is a pre-built blank Katie's ×1. And in order for you to win that, you have to be in position 1 through 5, and this is globally, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Globally. Okay, global. Okay, bugger. Okay, so ranks 1 to 5 globally is a pre-built Katie's. Ranks 6 to 10 is a full blueprint. 11 to 50 is 150 shards. 51 to 200, and so on and so forth. But if I'm certainly not going to be fighting to win this, but if I can be, in that area just to get some free shards, I'm happy to do that. But I'm certainly not going to try and compete for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to push myself too far. I'm probably going to aim for like 5 shards, and just see how I go.
Well, because there's always
shard yourself, man. Shard yourself.
Because there's always that goofball that always wants to get like 2 billion points so they can be the leader on the global.
Yeah, and those people are the ones that probably don't even need the KDs because they probably already have 1 or maybe 2 already. I mean,
no, I'm not talking about the ones that actually help folks. I'm talking about the ones that just get into little pissing matches with the number 2 on the leaderboard and just get points to be number 1. But it should be interesting this time around to see. So something new. Like I said, there's no cost to this. So if you happen to finish in one of those positions, or if you are, looking for the last 25 shards or something like that, and are able to get points, keep an eye where your spot is on the leaderboard, and maybe you can finish out.
Everyone's getting 5k shards as long as you do something in the raid, right?
Yes.
That's what the last line there says.
Yep.
If you're in the rank somewhere, you get 5.
Yep.
Which
is everybody's getting sharded this raid.
Is that 0.2% of what you need to complete the print?
That's 2%.
So you could take a gunboat in and die in a target if you're allowed to take the gunboat in the first place and get 5 shards. Okay, so something new again, no cost, but all right. Bug fixes and balance changes. Fixed an issue where users in World 1 were unable to engage in the subsector core resource base. George, is this still happening?
I wasn't in World 1, and I was having issues with this, but I still get kicked out of subsector bases. We actually did go and hit one with Buccaneers, pair of Buccaneers on auto, and we completed it. just at like, I think the 30-second mark when we're at the last turret cluster, I got booted out, and the other person, I was actually vengeful one, he completed it because we were already almost done. And then he got boned because instead of getting the whole thing, because he was the last person in there, he only got half of it, and I got nothing. So, yeah, interesting bugs.
I have a bit of a bone to pick in here. It's just like, Kixeye, please use your own names. There's no word 1 in game. There are words alpha, beta, and so on. There's no word 1.
I think, yeah, it probably should have been Sector 1, because I know Sector 1 was having issues with the lag.
But I don't think it was the sector. I think it was the whole alpha word.
Was it? Okay. I wasn't sure. I knew somebody.
You know, it's just like when they decided that the tiers A, B, C, and S wasn't good enough, and now it's 6, 7, 8, and whatever. But they still talk about it like in terms of A set and B set. It's just like, make up your mind.
Yep.
Game is already confusing enough.
Okay, second one, fixed an issue where users in alpha were unable to link to a Hive node, and fixed an issue where there was widespread lag across the game. And I think that was tied to an Adobe Flash Player upgrade, I think.
Part of it was, yeah.
Yep. So, oh my gosh, that's it for all the slides.
Yay. I know people are waiting to see what my avatar is, because, you know, I stole it from Serena on the page. So
your little F bomb?
I think it was appropriate for today. It might be,
that's
for a little bit.
Pretty cool. Oh, well,
you know mine by now, right?
Yep.
Yep. Certainly appreciate everybody's patience for hanging with us in chat. I know we went, about 20 minutes over, but there was an awful lot to go through. I will go ahead and post the link to the page after the show, and I will upload the slides so that you can go back and review the notes there if you wish to. I don't have anything else. Liam or anybody else have anything?
Any of you guys have anything you want to add to the show?
Try to have fun. That's all I'm going to say. Just try to have fun.
Try to have fun. Honestly, go to the forums and speak your mind about, lack of tokens, the limited stuff. Yeah, constructively. Don't go in there and start just, lambasting them. I mean, just go in and say, hey, look, our tokens, the availability has gone down. Our need to build hulls has gone up. Shipyard time has gotten more contracted. We have limited stuff that, I mean, we've had these issues before, and I thought we had learned from them. You know what I mean? Like, players do not like limited stuff, especially when it's something where either A, it's something that's going to be used for just a tweak, or B, it's not as, there's nothing apparently good for it. So what's going to happen is people are going to let it go by, and then sometime down the road, we're going to go, ooh, we really need this. And everyone's going to be like, all right, where do we get it? Because we can't get it anymore. I just dislike that whole idea. For some things, yeah, maybe I can understand it. And even then, like the what do we have? The radioactive and whatever engines and stuff. Yeah, great. We have a limit of 5, but I kind of need more. Why did we stop at 5? And how do you get it if you don't have them already? I mean, it's just, the whole thing's just, the limited idea has not worked well ever in this game.
George, too many words. Let's put it in a way Kixeye understand. Me no like limited.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're trying to say something about intelligence level there, but let that one go.
No, but the key point is that is if you do get in there and you use a bunch of naughty words, the odds are it's just going to be skimmed over and ignored, if not deleted. If you can provide why you think it's bad constructively without lots of naughty words, then your stuff is probably going to be taken a lot better that way than it is.
Yeah, and the why is actually very important that she just said, because if you just go in and say, hey, I don't like this, and that's it, you're going to be ignored anyway. I mean, that doesn't really tell you why. Like, if I was reading it, I'd be like, okay, well, great, you're upset, but why? Like, I would like to understand why. So the best way that you ever can make your point is state what the issue is, and then explain why it's an issue, and maybe even how to correct that issue for the benefit of both parties, not just you.
Yeah.
And I'll reiterate, the TFC Facebook page is a place to share what you know, to help others, or to ask for help. If you're unhappy about the blueprints being limited or the tokens not being there, the forum is the right place to register your dissatisfaction with what they're doing, not the TFC Facebook page.
Feedback.
Yeah.
We'll call it feedback.
Yeah,
They want our feedback, so it's feedback.
Yeah, just to add to that, we do know there is a raid coming. We don't know how bad the damage is going to be. I sincerely hope that it's a vast improvement.
Convoys are bigly.
I hope that it'll be much better than last time. But if we have to lock the page down, we will lock the page down. Please, keep your comments constructive on the page. For those that do take the time to share videos, as always, thank you so very much for doing that. We really appreciate that. There will be a pinned thread at the top, hopefully with videos and not a bunch of upset people. Don't forget to stock up on crews if you need to, uranium, those types of things, all of that kind of stuff before the raid starts tomorrow. And I guess just the best of luck to everybody.
Yep. Stock up on the crews, stock up on the tissue, and just get prepared.
I don't want to know. Good luck, everybody. Have a good evening. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
good luck.
Have a great
Good luck,
day.
everyone. Good night. Good night.